and welcome to Byte Club. Today we learn about the world of carbon offsetting as we visit the offices of Zero Footprint. Hi, Jay.
Hi. Yeah, Katie.
Hi.
Welcome to Zero Footprint.
Thank you very much.
Zero Footprint helps people and companies to measure and manage their carbon footprint. That's our sort of official tagline. And what we really do is build software that helps people or companies to understand the impact that they have on their environment in terms of carbon dioxide emissions.
Came from an evening where I was sitting and talking to the guys who started Google and the guys who started AOL, and then we were talking about the environment. We weren't talking about software. And it struck me just kind of one of those light flashes at the time that, you know, there's just very little software in the environment, very little good software. So the question is, what do you do about that? What do you do about social networking, and how do you apply it to create change, environmental change?
Because we tailor it exactly to your life, the questions are much more relevant to you, and so we get a much more accurate footprint at the end. And you can go really detailed, so that's our personal carbon manager, and it's a really low-level dive into everything in your life that contributes to your carbon footprint. Or you can go to a very high level with one of our 1-minute calculators, which are a very quick series of questions that give you a much higher level view of your footprint, but take a lot less time to complete.
How do you achieve social change? You don't do it by making adults aware. I mean, you can tell everybody that the lakes are going to rise, the seas are going to, our buildings are going to collapse. They're not going to do anything. But the day the kid comes and says, you can't throw that garbage away here, you got to put it in the bin, or, why don't we have a recycle bin, So a lot of change comes through children, as a source of change.
We want people to understand that they have an impact, and that everything that they actually do has an impact on the planet. And the important thing there is really that it's difficult to reduce something like a carbon footprint if you don't understand it. We do a lot of people with our not-for-profit initiative, which works with cities and universities. So for example, the University of Guelph has a calculator that's available for everyone at the university. We've done a bunch of city launches, including the city of Toronto. We've got a whole bunch of tips in there, and they are in the same way that our calculator tailors the questions to your lifestyle, the tips are relevant to you as well. So if you answer a question, for example, about your car, then we've got tips that can help you reduce your carbon emissions as a result of driving. So right behind me over here is our CTO's office, Michael, who was my partner at Radiant Core. This is just a little plastic storage utility here, and then we've just got all the servers stacked up on top of it.
So Zero Footprint rests on a piece of Tupperware.
Pretty much, yeah. We get fresh organic fruit delivered to the office on a regular basis. In true MTV Crib style, I was going to stock a fridge full of Cristal for you guys, but I just didn't get a chance to. And so over here, we've got our research team, and these are the guys who actually know all the science behind everything we do. They are the ones who figure out what all of our calculations are, make sure that we're up on the latest environmental science, and that our calculators are accurate, and that what we're telling our customers is absolutely the latest that's out there, so we're always up to date. So these guys in this area here are our front-end developers. They worry about everything that you can actually see on the screen, so they're the web guys, and they do all the HTML, CSS, and a lot of the interaction design, and I work closely with them on the interaction design. And then we've got our backend developers who worry about, obviously, all the database stuff and servers and all that kind of thing. I think you get everybody in little offices or cubicles, and then you don't really ever get to hang out with the rest of the people on your team. And you get a real sense of, people are working on stuff. You can see what they're working on as you're walking through the floor. So I think the open space really helps to keep the team as a big cohesive whole. My former company, Radiant Core, was actually purchased by Zero Footprint. So my former business partner, who's now our CTO, Michael, who has the office right next door, and I had a company called Radiant Core, and one of our clients was Zero Footprint. And we were doing more and more work with them and getting more and more involved in sort of the technology planning and that sort of thing. And then Ron and I, who's our CEO, started having conversations about how they were looking to bring on a web team in-house. And the more we talked about it, the more it just really sounded like the Radiant Core team. So we worked out the details in about 3 weeks, and then we were all on board. What we are starting to see as a definite trend around the world is increasing regulation in this area. Some of the more forward-thinking countries like Australia have already started to impose mandatory carbon returns on their largest companies. In the same way they have to file a tax return, they now have to file a carbon return. We're actually very careful to account for all of our own carbon. One of our interns' job is actually to measure Zero Footprint's carbon footprint and make sure that we're offsetting that so that as a company we're carbon neutral. Certainly everything that we print or any flights that we take or anything like that is offset so that we know that we've had as little impact on the planet as we can possibly have. I think it's the fact that I can wake up in the morning and know that everything we do do here is helping to save the world. Everything we do is helping the world to have a lower carbon footprint, and you really can't top that feeling to get inspired and excited about what you're doing.
That's it for this episode of Byte Club. Thanks again to Zero Footprint for having us. We'll see you next time.